Welcome back to this for now. Let's talk everything beyond the ice and beyond the rink. Here we are with episode 2, and happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you like my decorations, bought by John Luke Baker. First of all, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the support and the love that I got from my first episode of whatever this is. And in terms of whatever this is, I asked you guys if you had any name suggestions for the podcast, and I only had the chance to write down a few so far, but I want to go through some of them, and then I'm going to eventually have to choose one of them for a name. First of all, Smart Talk with Olivia, Smart on Ice. There's a trend here where we're using the last name Smart quite a bit, which I appreciate and understand, but I'm not that smart. I'm street smart, as my mom and dad would say. Off the Ice with Olivia, Play It Smart, Live the Dream, Smart Casual, and Trivia with Olivia. So there's way more than this in the comments on the video, but I'm going to take my time to go through them carefully, and I'm going to do a poll on my Instagram. So make sure to follow me on Instagram at Olivia Smart X, and we'll be making a decision on this podcast name in the future. And we'll go through all the comments, and thank you for all the love. It's been a journey just within the last week and a half, and the journey which was in the week, and the journey that was the last week and a half, I was in Chongqing, China. So let's go back and recap that. I'm really tired. First of all, the travel. That is way too long to Asia. But we got to get there somehow. We had, I think, a 36-hour trip to get to Chongqing. From what I remember, our flight path was Montreal. I don't even remember myself. No, that's a lie. The trip to Chongqing wasn't terrible. Trip back was a whole different story. We'll get there. We did Montreal, Narita, Tokyo, because that was my first time in Japan. Yes. In the airport. I looked out the window. It's beautiful. It's great. I will go one day officially. So we did Montreal, Narita, Tokyo, Chongqing. We arrived in Chongqing around midnight, and I was in bed around 3:30 a.m. that day. So the time change, the flip, the travel, everything. And we traveled in economy. But I only say that economy is hard because on the travel back, Tim and I upgraded to business class. That trip was so much more pleasant. I slept 7 hours on that flight, laid down. I don't think I can travel to Asia ever again in another way, which is a problem, because it's expensive, but we felt like we needed a treat. So traveling to Asia in economy versus business, big difference. I would highly suggest making the investment if you can. So we arrived in Chongqing on the Wednesday early morning, and we had an unofficial practice Wednesday evening where there's no judges, there's no costumes, there's no glitz, there's no glam. You really just try and find your feet. And my feet were swollen still. And then the Thursday, we had the official practice, Friday, Saturday, competition days. So the week went by pretty fast. I was reunited with skaters from other countries, all competing in China together, and it was one of the first Grand Prix of the season. So prior to the competition starting, we like to move our bodies and get ready for that big day on the Friday. And traveling to Asia is a little more difficult with the long-haul trip. So we did an activation day on the Wednesday, we had a practice day on the Thursday, and then boom, competition's already starting Friday, Saturday. Friday was the rhythm dance day. We have our new routines for the 90s this year. The theme is 90s entertainment. That's literally the theme. That's the requirement. The requirement word for ice dance, rhythm dance this year is entertaining. So Tim and I skate to Let Me Entertain You by Robbie Williams. I hope that's obvious enough. We debuted this program in Bratislava, so this is the second time we're competing this program, and we were really excited to be back there in Chongqing performing in front of the Chinese crowd. Rhythm dance competition itself, unfortunately, I had a slip, a very small one, in the rhythm dance in the element, the PST, the partial step sequence, which is money points in ice dance. And in the rhythm dance, it's so tight, it's so technical. So if you put a foot wrong, it's not game over, but might as well be at that point. And that's what it felt like for me. So as you can see in the video, I have a little slip on my knee. I'm only supposed to stay on one knee, but I ended up slipping to the other one as I lost a little bit of balance. And that small slip cost me around 8 to 10 points. And I have a souvenir to go home with for it. So I'm going to remember that for a little bit. But due to us missing 8 to 10 points in the rhythm dance, because of that small slip, we were in 6th place after the rhythm dance. Not exactly where we wanted to be and where our goals were for this competition. The comeback from that rhythm dance was a little bit more difficult than usual, and also not what I expected. I remember sitting in the kiss and cry with my coach and him telling me how many points we will probably lose for that. And I turned my head very slowly to him and went, "What?" Just for something so minuscule in ice dance it's so costly. I love what I do. I love this sport. But in that moment, I absolutely hated it. I just, I couldn't believe it. As someone that's so experienced as I am, making a small mistake like that and costing so much and putting myself at a lower placement, it was heartbreaking. And also heartbreaking for my partner. I think I said sorry to him 5 or 6 times, which he did remind me. There's no apologies needed. It wasn't my fault. It's us as a team. And that really helps in a way because I was putting the blame fully on myself. And like I said, I don't know where the fall came from, or the slip, came from. It wasn't a fall. The amount of people that told me that they had to go back and watch the video again to see where the fall was hilarious because you could barely see it. It was tiny, but very costly. And like I said, costs a lot of money. Tim's great for that. Like, having a partner that supports you through those moments is so key and so necessary. And in what we do, it doesn't just take the on-ice physical stuff. You need the partnership, you need the relationship, you need the bond. Because if I didn't have that through Tim and my team, I would have crashed out. I wouldn't have done the next day, let's just say that. So recovering after the rhythm dance, we were in 6th place with the score of around 67, which is pretty low for where we want to be and what our goals are for this season. And like I said, around 8 to 10 points off of what we could have had, which would have put us in around 3rd place from what I remember. So recovering from the rhythm dance, we had the free dance the next day. So I had to just turn this page in this book and move on, which is a lot easier said than done, especially in this moment thinking about it. What we do after every day at competition is we like to close our day. We work with our life coach, Tim and I, and we sit together either on a phone call or in our WhatsApp group, and we close our day with a couple of questions, going through what we were proud of, what we want to bring forward to tomorrow, what we want to leave behind, etc., etc. Well, I needed to leave a lot behind from the rhythm dance. Closed this day on our WhatsApp group, and I felt like I was past it. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to put all my energy into the free dance tomorrow. I'm going to get some good rest. I'm going to remind myself why I'm doing this and that I'm only human and we make mistakes. So I went to bed thinking, okay, it's clear. Free dance is tomorrow. I'm really excited to perform our Dune program, and I'm going to put this to bed. Well, I think I woke up at around 2 a.m. that night with anxiety sweats. I could barely sleep. One, of course, the jet lag doesn't help, which really hit me last week. Like, I think I got more sleep on my business flight home the other day versus how many hours of sleep I got every night in China last week. The jet lag was pretty tough. But this night specifically after the rhythm dance, where I thought I was closed and ready to move on, turn the page to the free dance the next day, clearly I was not. I woke up in the middle of the night, really anxious, really struggling to calm my mind, the extra thoughts that were running through my head. Those extra thoughts being, okay, we can do well in the free dance tomorrow if we just go out and skate, but we're so far behind, so we're not going to make it to the top. We're not going to make it to the podium. Like, just that anxiety, the questions, the overthinking was torture. And I couldn't fall back to sleep because my brain was just a running hamster wheel. And I was just beating myself up throughout the night. So, of course, got minimal rest. Woke up that next morning and I was so anxious. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I called my life coach and I had a good cry with her on the phone. I was extremely emotional. As soon as I heard her voice and even started thinking about and speaking about how I felt, I started crying. I had a full face of makeup on at this point because I'd done my makeup for the free dance as soon as I woke up. And then I'm on the phone crying. I was blotting my eyes, trying to save my eyeliner. But she helped me work through it in a way of finding a different motive and an intention for the free dance that day. Because usually your intention is to go out and skate the best you can. You're trained, you're ready. Like, everybody has a different intention. But for this day specifically, for me, from the rhythm dance the day prior, I needed a different feeling. I needed something that was going to fuel me in a different way than just doing well and medaling, because medaling for us in that moment seemed like a lifetime away because of the points. So Tim and I wanted to find a different motive and a different intention going into our free dance that day. And we found something personal to us. We found that the love for the sport and why we came back, and just a reminder that not every day is perfect. And the days where there's mistakes made and issues is usually the days where you learn the most. We tried to use that as our power that day, and knowing we were going out with so much support from the fans in the crowd, the fans online, and just switch it up, knowing that being an athlete isn't just medals, points, and podiums. We needed to really find why we were going out there and what we were going out there for that day. And I think we found it. It was a really good turnover for the free dance. I was really excited to perform this free dance. It's Dune 2. You all love it. We love it. And the storytelling, the character aspect, I really just dove into that day. And it took my mind away completely, which was exactly what I needed. So free dance day, and because of our placement in the rhythm dance, we were also skating earlier in the free dance. So we were skating last in the first group. And that's also not where we wanted to be in the competition. Being in the last group at an event is the higher scored and the higher placed teams. So that's where we wanted to be. And we weren't. And skating last in a group is pretty challenging in the free dance because you've got about a 35 to 40 minute wait after your 5-minute warm up. So you get on the ice, you do your 5-minute warm up, you come off, wait. It's waiting time. Anxious, pacing, waiting time. And the rink in China was extremely warm, so we came off the ice from the 5-minute warm-up, and we're both sweating. Tim, luckily, has a zip and was able to take his costume off, but myself, I'm sat there in this turtleneck headscarf dress, and I'm like, okay, do I take my skates off, blah, blah, blah. You usually have a plan of what you want to do after the 5-minute warm-up, and we had our plan, but that did shift a bit, because around 15 minutes before we were supposed to go on the ice, I think there was 2 teams still to skate in front of us, and I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I need the bathroom. So I had Tim undo my dress. I unclipped my headscarf. I went to the bathroom. As I came out of the bathroom, my coaches stood at the entrance of the bathroom. And I'm like, hello, hi. And he looks a tiny bit concerned. He puts his hand out, reaches for my hand. I give him my hand. He puts his arm around me and says, okay, the team before you have just withdrawn. So you will be on the ice now. And I'm like, oh, okay. I had literally just taken a poop. Like, I had literally just come from the bathroom and washed my hands. Like, and you're telling me I have to be in the ice now? That was not the turnover I was expecting. If I knew that, I wouldn't have gone to the bathroom. And a nice little shake up into our whole week in general, because I needed that after the rhythm dance, clearly. And so I go back out to Tim. I catch Tim's eyes. We both look like deers in headlights. He helps me do up my dress again. I run back to the bathroom, clip my headscarf in. We're ready to go do a free dance. But I'm not ready because I thought I had 5 or 6 more minutes. Next thing you know, we're going out onto the ice. We're asking, okay, do we have a little bit of time? Like, do we have the time that we usually have while we wait for the scores of the other team that are no longer skating and have just withdrawn? Everyone we asked was like, I don't know, I'm sorry. And we were like, what do you mean you don't know? So we just get on the ice and they call our names. We honestly had no idea what we were doing. But this doesn't usually happen. This is very rare in our sport. And of course, I hope it doesn't happen again for anybody. But it was just a nice shake-up. Clearly for the free ends. We were nice and calm, grounded, doing our breathing exercises, and then boom, interrupted. Sorry, you got to go skate right now. We did luckily have a little bit of time. We skated around and just took our space and just waited to hear our names get called. We go over to our coaches. We take a last sip of our drink, blow our nose, and then they call our names. But of course, we're skating 5 minutes earlier than we were ready for. But it's game time. It's what our sport is. The show must go on. And we just had to go for it then and there. But all I remember is I could barely feel my feet. My toes were tingling and my feet were really numb. From getting off the ice from the 5-minute warm-up to the time we actually got on the ice to perform, it's a long time to keep your skates on. And sometimes I like to take them off. Sometimes I like to keep them on. Well, this time I decided to keep them on. Honestly, I'm very glad I did because of the turnover of having to start earlier. Because I would have usually have gone to the bathroom and then tied my skates. So imagine if I came out of the bathroom, I didn't have my skates tied as well. So I'm glad I was one step ahead at least. So then going into our beginning position, I was like, hey, this is our time. Like, we just got to do this. No matter if I can feel my feet or not, this is it. We got to do it. So we started our Doom program. And of course, as soon as the music starts, no matter the nerves, the adrenaline, the feelings that you have, as soon as the music starts for Tim and I, it's game time. It's character, it's love, it's connection. Everything kicks in that moment and everything else disappears in a way. We skated great. We did absolutely everything we can for this time in the season and at this competition. I would say we were a little bit more tired endurance-wise halfway through the program, which, who cares? You just got to skate. You got to fight through it. And you got to smile while you're fighting through it. We know this program's a fan favorite, but of course, that's not up to us and the fans. It's up to the judges, what they enjoy, what they want to see, and what we put out there on that day. But for us, we did our job. So I sat in the kiss and cry a little bit more confident than I was the day before in the rhythm dance. I at least knew I didn't put my knee down and get a 8 to 10 point deduction. And my coach turns to me again and says, you might have a deduction for taking too long to get into your starting position. What are you talking about? Why are you full of surprises this week? As soon as they call your name, and then when you get into your starting position, in that time, you have 30 seconds to get into your starting position. I know this. Everybody knows this. I clearly took my sweet ass time getting to my starting position this time. My coach told me, yeah, you're in your starting position around 31, 32 seconds. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. You see me in the kiss and cry go, if I have a deduction for taking too long to get into my starting position, I'm going to die. That's hilarious. Just to like put the cherry on top of my cake from this week. Luckily, we didn't. Thank you, whoever generously didn't give us that deduction. But that would have just been the icing on top of the cake for me and a joke. But I'll make sure I go faster into my starting position in the future. So the results from the free dance, we got our scores. We were very happy with the scores for this time in the season, where we were at, and also where we skated in the competition on that day. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough for us to pull up into the top 3. Tim and I did pull up to 4th from 6th after the rhythm dance, which is a big leap and something that we just took with gratitude that day, just knowing that we can be up there. That's our goals for the season ahead, for the future. It's not today that matters. We did everything we could at this competition, and the outcome's great, regardless if there's a medal around our neck or we're stood on the podium. Of course it hurts. It hurts every athlete to lose. Nobody wants to lose. I don't want to lose. I want to win. But I had a day that cost me a lot of points. And in ice dance, like I said, it's tricky, it's tight, and it's a rough sport. And you can't put a foot wrong anymore. And that's what I signed up for. And that's what I'm going to be doing for this whole Olympic season. And I will be removing that knee slide from the rhythm dance. A fun fact about China that you may all not know for athletes and Olympic athletes. Athletes that are tested for doping for the Olympic Games and for sport throughout the season, we have to be careful with what we eat in China. We can't eat everything. In the hotel for the athletes, food is fine, but there was a separate container of eggs for the athletes that we were given a little note at reception saying, athletes' eggs on one side. So we weren't allowed to eat the regular eggs because the eggs, the meats, beef, pork, chicken and fish are fine, but they have extra hormones in them that we cannot consume. which is a whole other aspect to add into your trip China in general. If you're there for competition, training, just to think about that extra aspect is another added stress, of course. And of course, you go out to restaurants, you want to, I don't know, have some food, but you can only eat the chicken and the fish. Luckily, we have people around us that do tell us the right things to eat and do guide us in the right direction. But if you don't know, you wouldn't know. So that's another thing that many people might not know and is a fun, interesting fact for us in China. Also, at competitions, we get thrown on toys and we get given like a big bag at the end of the day and at the end of the competition. And now I've started bringing home as many as I can to give to Miss Linda because she destroys them and dog toys are expensive. So thank you, everybody. Why didn't you do that on the camera? So to wrap up China, it was a good week, a bad week, a learning week, and something that we're going to take forward into the rest of the season and apply to us as athletes, as people, and the lessons learned and the experiences and memories made. Getting back from China, we're going to be putting our head down, making adjustments in some programs and some elements, and just knuckling down training for the next around 3 weeks until our next Grand Prix in Finland. But one thing that I do want to clear from my last video was my explanation of how I left the UK and moved to the US at 14 years old for figure skating. Well, my parents didn't just put me in a shipping container and ship me off to the US. I did have a voice. I did have a say in what I was doing. I was just at an age where I was between having a social life and being a teenager or becoming an Olympic athlete. My parents just pushed me in the right direction because they knew who I was and who I could become and the athlete that I could become. And they just pushed me in the right direction. And yes, they did buy my flight ticket to the US and they did help me get there. And they did organize things with my school to make it all happen. But it was in the most supportive, loving way. And like, well, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have achieved anything that I've done if it wasn't for them and that push in the beginning. So it wasn't a forceful moment. It was purely out of love and admiration and motivation for what I do. And yeah, so thank you to my parents. I said yes as well. So just acknowledging again the love and the support that I received from this series and what this is and the start of this. We are going to be a little bit inconsistent for the next while as we're still trying to get used to this. Like I said, whatever this is, I'm learning, you're learning. With the travel competitions and this Olympic season ahead, it's going to be very busy, but I hope you all stick along and follow along. And thank you for your love and support. We really appreciate it. And happy Halloween weekend, everybody. Ciao. I said ciao.